Thank you for inviting me here, and I'm also very grateful for giving the title, because this title really helped me to think about how my career was about, because as you heard by the presentation, I became a physician and a neonatologist, a doctor who takes care of little babies, in order to save babies. And now I find myself the director of a program where we welcome babies with very short life. And so I start with a couple of words about the beginning of my career. In fact, I was always impressed that in the delivery room, when a baby is going to be born, doesn't matter about baby boy, baby girl, baby is beautiful, baby is not beautiful, like all the people, right? Babies, I mean, I think babies are beautiful, but some people said that when they're just born, they don't look good at all. I don't think so. But anyway, regardless of how they look like, people are so excited. And, you know, this little baby is able to do nothing. He's not intelligent, he's not beautiful, he's not a good organizer, he's not a genius, needs everything, you know. And everybody's so excited. Why? Because at the beginning of life, there is this promise for happiness. Because you can see the life being open towards a destiny that everybody hoped for goodness, for beauty, for love, for happiness. And so, being a doctor, I was thinking that I could support somehow fulfilling this desire of happiness, being a doctor for babies born with problems. And so that's why I started my career. Exactly. So this slide says that. I want to share with you a short case where I show you how successful we can be taking care of babies. So I don't know how much you can see, but this is a little girl. She was born at this point many years ago. Her weight was less than a pound, and I was her doctor for 6 months. She was in 6 months in the hospital, and she went through any kind of complication. However, after 6 months, she made it. She went home, and then she grew up. She became a little girl, and then she grew up even more. And this is the last picture that I have of her. She's 7. She speaks 3 languages. She speaks English because she lives in New York. She speaks Portuguese because her father is from Brazil. And she speaks Spanish because her mom is from Colombia. She is an extremely bright girl. And so here we are. I save babies. And this experience to me... No, I mean, you know, I collaborate. Exactly. And so in my long career, I lived this joy so many times. However, sooner than later, I start facing families expecting babies with sickness, illnesses, which are not amenable of medical care. And so those are babies affected, and we know even before they're born, with what we call life-limiting condition. Sometimes people will say lethal condition or incompatible with life. I never use those terms because they're really bad. And also, it's wrong to use the expression incompatible with life, because these babies have a life. Maybe, through their pregnancy, and then when they're born, maybe a few minutes. That's life. And you'll see in some examples that I share with you about this. So, but I was challenged because in front of these families, and in front especially of these babies, my patients, how can I fulfill my desire to save their life? It must be a way. I couldn't, if not, try to figure it out a way, because I cannot just say, well, you're destined to die, bye-bye, goodbye. No, I am a doctor. I need to find a way to take care of them. And especially, I think is very wrong what I reported here when we doctors say to patient, there is nothing we can do for you. This is one of the biggest lies, because by experience taking care of babies with short life, actually I realized that there are so many things we have to do, and the care of this baby, it takes so much of effort, it's very time consuming, because you have to invent anything possible to make their life beautiful and celebrating their life. When I meet parents during pregnancy, open parentheses, as a neonatologist, we always counsel families who are carrying babies when the pregnancy is a high risk. Okay, and I love to meet parents, for example, when the baby has some, I don't know, brain malformation or kidney malformation. I love to meet them during pregnancy to make them aware there is a plan of care for the baby once the baby is born. We do surgery, we give medication, etc. When I meet couples expecting a baby with a life-limiting condition, also because of this program that grew up over time, I do have a plan for them. First of all, I introduce myself saying I am a neonatologist, a doctor who takes care of baby, and my goal is to save the life of your baby. And if with all the experience that I have, all the resources that we have, the life of your baby is going to be short, we'll make their life beautiful. I start asking them, is it a baby boy or baby girl? Oh, first of all, I would say, congratulations, you're expecting a baby. What's the name? You pick up the name. So I show to them that I have a profound interest in that baby. It is not formal, I really have an interest. That's why I became a doctor. And parents are very afraid to love the baby when they know that the baby is going to have a short life. Why? I understand that, because imagine that you give life to a little baby who will die in your arms is one of the worst things you can imagine in your life. And therefore, one of the responsibility for us as a professionals is to support that desire. And so sharing my interest for their own child, I always see the parents following me. Parents cannot stand the fact that someone loves their baby more than them. Really. And you know what? I learned this following them, because I always had this positive approach, and I see them changing during the conversations that we have, and I realize that that's absolutely true, because this is their child. And so supporting their hope is very, very important. Why? Because we have the same heart. So the same heart that I carry, that I want to save their life, is the same heart that the parents have. Any parents, any mom, any dad wants to love their baby. Here I want to show you a little bit about our comfort care team. And this is to do also with the fact that all of us, we have the same heart. Why? Because I started this program on my own, as I told you in the beginning, and then slowly, over time, other professionals came to me. They said, you need help, what you're doing is so beautiful, can we help you, can you support you, can I come and work with you? And I have actually nurses and social workers working with me even after their time of work, after work hours, to meet these families, to support them, to help them with, referring to different agencies, etc., etc. And so over time, the team was born, but not because I decided, okay, now I sit down at this table, I organize a program. No, it just came naturally. At a certain point, we were working all together, and then we'll say, well, why don't we just call each other's program? And so, but we have been working for several years, and aside, the core team is me, my nurse coordinator, and my social worker, and then we have other people who volunteer working with us: a feeding specialist, a psychologist, a chaplaincy works with us. Very briefly, these are the guidelines of our program. Now, I put together these guidelines basically one day while I was giving this presentation in a high school. I asked, this was a all-girls high school, and I asked them, how do you think a baby will be comfortable? And they came out with this list, which, if you think about your own experience in your family, a baby is happy when is welcomed by the family, can be held, is bonding with the family. One of the highest pleasure of a baby is to feed, to be fed. Babies, they want to be clean and warm, and they don't want to suffer, obviously. Now, in order to achieve this needs of primary need of a baby, in those babies so sick is very complicated. And so our program is all about this. For example, they need to be welcome. We need to have in our hospital a place of privacy where whether the baby lives for minutes or hours, all the family can be there, grandmother, grandfather, uncle, cousin, anybody, friends, and so we provide this place for them. Babies like to be warm, but not to stay alone in an incubator. This, in the picture, there is a little baby, about 800 grams, so 2 pounds. She had one with this very life-limiting condition, very severe, and she lived for 12 hours being kangarooed, so on skin to skin on the chest of mom and dad. I don't have a picture with dad. For all her life, she didn't know what was a baby crib. She was always nice and warm, embraced by the family. They need to be fed. The baby on the right, she lived 48 hours, but those 48 hours, she was like sucking her pus on her bottle. And some of the baby also are breastfed, because for them is very important. And also, as I show you in another examples, some of this baby lives more than we thought if we take care of them with supportive measures. They need to be pain-free. Now, we are learning from this program that we have that the best 2 painkillers is not Tylenol or morphine, is rather being held and being fed. We do pain score on our babies, and the vast majority of them, they don't need any medication. Just being held and being fed, they are happy. Now, this is another example of a baby that was supposed to die after birth because his kidneys didn't work, and so doctors are very afraid about the lungs development. Well, he came out crying, and we followed the baby. We said, well, he wants to live, and then we switched gear, and this baby is in dialysis, so not easy life, but he's breathing very well, and he will get soon his kidney transplant. And so again, we have to reevaluate, to reassess. We don't know. Life is bigger than us. And this is probably my last example. This is a little baby who, if you read on the pediatric textbook, should be dying within the first few hours of life, and was taken care of properly by their family, loving family. And here he is at 2 years of age. His life lasted 28 months. An exceptional case, but he made it. And everybody's proud. So basically, following the baby means that our job is to be always in dialogue with the mystery, because we know about the destiny, which is the length of life of our patients. If we look at them, the mystery speaks to us through our patients. And so that's the only way for which there is no right or wrong choice. If you follow reality, if you follow what the mystery tells you through the patient, you're always right. You cannot get wrong. We can skip this. Well, these are just phrases that the parents wrote to us when we asked them, can you give an idea how would you say that the comfort care that you receive for your baby during this, the short life in this program. And so they share with us this sentence here. My time is very short. So the very last point is now, of course, it seems all rosy and beautiful. I mean, these babies have a short life, and I love life. I'm a very loved person. I go around. Life is beautiful. So why their life is so short? I have to say that I have always this pain that I carry together with the family that I meet. However, every time one of these babies is born, we have always an experience of beauty within the sorrow. And I'll share with you this case. Is a little baby boy who looks beautiful, but his body was all malformed, and there was no way to do surgery or anything to keep him alive. He lived for about 1 hour. But the 2 little sisters were prepared. They chose this beautiful outfit for him. They want to hold him, as you see in the picture, and they wanted to bring to the delivery room a cake with the candles, which is totally not allowed in the hospital. But we did it. I like to do crazy things for my patient. And so there is a moment of beauty and truth. Why? Because the truth is that baby is alive in that moment. I always tell the parents, before that there is life. And so life is now, could be 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, could be 8 minutes. But we need to live the present moment. And so this foretaste of happiness that I mentioned with you in the very beginning, you can really see in action when you really look at reality, when you really look for a point of hope, a point of beauty. And one thing that also impresses me is all the time I go through, and now I probably took care of more than 200 families and babies. Every time the family is so grateful, and I feel why they are grateful to me, the baby died. They always say, well, you allow us to be mother and father, to live their parenthood. And so that's all that they look for. And I finish with this slides. This is a frame that the mother embroidered herself and put on the crib of her baby. And since it's so beautiful, I asked permission to take a picture. And she says, you are loved. It made me think about, she didn't say, I love you. She wrote, you are loved. Why? Because she understood that as a mother, even with all her love, she could not give enough life or happiness to her baby, but is almost recognizing that there is someone who has a good design, good destiny for that baby. And so this acknowledgement gives us peace, basically. And with this, I finish.